What's up, you guys? Godzilla Fan Freaks here, and this is going to be our review of the new Godzilla 2014 movie. Scott's here to help me out with it, and well, we just have the Godzilla 1989 out here today. We went on the hunt after the movie for a NECA figure, but no store had it, so we just have to deal with that, and he's holding the ticket stub, so
Yay.
give us points for that, yeah.
Yay, Tucson.
Yeah, Tucson rocks. Every time we go searching for something that we want to buy, kaiju related anyway, we never find it. So
Phoenix!
Yeah, Phoenix probably has it, I bet, but we're not going to travel 2 hours. Anyway, alright you guys, well, there will be spoilers in this review, so if you've seen the movie and you just want to hear our opinion, go ahead and keep on watching, but if you haven't seen the film yet and you don't want any spoilers, stop watching right now, because we're literally about to get into it. We're not even going to give you any, time, so...
Well, technically we just did.
Yeah, so stop watching right now if you don't want any spoilers. Anyway, we'll jump right into it, starting off with the opening credits. The opening credits scene, both me and Scott really weren't expecting it to be that way, but it was actually pretty cool. I did like the opening credits to the movie. It was very nice. And then after that, of course, just hopping straight on into the film, I guess we'll go straight into when they were at that dig site in the mine, and it collapses, and then the skeleton underneath. A lot of people thought maybe that was the skeleton of another Godzilla, but it was way too long, kind of like a snake. But the thing is that the Mutos seem like insects, but insects have exoskeletons, so it would be weird for Muto to have a rib cage, I would imagine. But who knows? We don't know that much about them. They never really informed us too much about them in the film, if they were insects or what.
I think it's Manda.
So, yeah, he thinks it's Manda. But, so that skeleton in the beginning there, that was kind of neat, but it's way too long and thin to be a Godzilla, so... go ahead, Scott. What do you have to say next about anything?
About that scene, I don't know. It's really a stupid thing to be kind of about, but I just don't think a giant monster would be able to dig its way out of a cave and drag itself all the way to the ocean. Nobody noticed.
Yeah, that was one thing that we noticed too. You can call that a nitpick if you want, but I mean,
especially
of course, it's just a movie. But I mean, it's just one of the things that we kind of pointed out. It's no one noticed this thing pop out the other side of the mountain, and it left a big trailer. So it left a big trail, so we can assume it was already pretty big when it hatched. So.
And one could argue that maybe this happened at night when no one was around. But I would like to say, when they first entered the cave, it was completely dark until they turned on the excavation lights, and then the giant light from the hole magically appeared.
Yeah.
I think you've seen that.
And then moving on then to when we're in Tokyo and the reactor collapses. To be honest, seeing the trailers and everything with that scene and everything like that, me and Scott really weren't expecting that to be the Muto, or Muto, whatever you want to fucking call it. We weren't expecting that to be the other creature. We thought that was actually going to be Godzilla, and that's where he was laying dormant all this time, was underneath the reactor. But it was, to our surprise, that it was the Muto. So that was interesting. Didn't really throw us off too much. We were just expecting it to be Godzilla. And
kind of sounded like him a bit, that one scream.
Mm-hmm.
During the scene, it was very faint, but
yeah. There's another thing that we pointed out too. It's they in the beginning of the movie they talked about they didn't talk about, but they showed that they did the bomb with Godzilla and all that stuff. But then it's they never really where was he the whole time? Did he just disappear? Was he laying dormant somewhere? Did they know that they killed him? Or did they just say, oh, well, he's still alive, screw it, and then just whatever, left him alone?
Yeah, did they assume they killed him? They didn't really go into it.
Yeah, they never really did. And every time Sarazal said something, it's it could be him, or is it him, or it's probably him, or it's well, where the hell has he been this whole time? No one else knew this but you? Especially when the government and everything was trying to kill him back then.
One other thing, the Monarch team that was developed because of this, the way they said it, they said they only encountered Godzilla, but yet he kind of acted like he had more extensive knowledge of other creatures.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they mentioned that or not. It just kind of threw a curveball. Like, was there others? Or did you just have really good knowledge of Godzilla?
Yeah, that too. But anyway, back to the reactor thing. So after all that collapsed and all that stuff, and then they pushed forward 15 years later, I found it really funny that within that 15 years, Bryan Cranston's character didn't seem to age one bit at all. That just seemed funny to me. I mean, a 15-year time period jump, I mean, at least just give him grayer hair or a little bit of a beard or something. It's like, he just didn't seem to age at all. I mean, that could be another little nitpick thing. Of course, it's just a movie, but...
He changed clothes.
He changed clothes, obviously. But, yeah, so that was kind of funny to me. I whispered to Scott in the movie theater, it's like, 15 years and he didn't age? I want to have what he's having.
How... speaking of that, how old was this son when this happened? Because it was only 15 years, and then he already had a 5-year-old kid.
Yeah, that now that you point that out, that is a good thing, because, I mean, he looked like he could have been...
Early 20s?
Yeah, at most. So, I mean, when he was a kid, what, maybe like 10?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, because, I mean, for a 15-year time period, and then joining the army, having a family, I mean... He must have been one of the kids that got the girl pregnant when he was like 16, 17 or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, that's besides the point. So time jump there was kind of a little off with some of the characters, you could say. So that was a little weird. I guess the next thing we can go on is Bryan Cranston's character dying.
Good job. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, neither one of us saw that coming. And boy, when we saw that scene today, we were laughing on the inside to everybody who said they wanted to see this movie because Bryan Cranston was in it. And literally, he probably doesn't even have not even maybe 30 minutes at most of on-screen time. That was just great. So I wonder if all those people that said, we're going to go see this just because Bryan Cranston's in it, yeah! And then he dies, and they're like, I wonder if any of those people walked out of the movie theater.
Yeah, all those people like, yeah, Heisenberg versus Godzilla.
Yeah, Heisenberg versus Godzilla.
You never even saw Godzilla.
Nope, never even saw Godzilla, yup. So that was pretty funny. It shocked us, but at the same time, we really didn't care. We were seeing this movie because of Godzilla.
That was pretty shocking. I mean, it was a plot twist, but we weren't in it just for him.
Yeah, so for all those people that were in it just because Bryan Cranston was in it, oh well, sorry. Boy, what do we want to move on to next? How about we move on to the scene where like the Mutos first appear and stuff like that.
Like in Hawaii?
Yeah, no, it was where the reactor was and everything like that. And we're gonna remember when he was in the back. That's the another thing we want to point out.
Well, it's technically jumping back.
Yeah, that is jumping back just a tad, but forgot to mention this. When he was talking to the one guy inside the room before, like, the Muto got out of its cocoon and everything like that, at first he stated, "Where's my son? I want to know where my son is. He probably knows where he is." And then when his son was trapped inside the truck or whatever, and it was closed, you couldn't see anything. And when the truck went tumbling because the crane fell and everything like that, he was like, "No, Ford," or whatever his son's name was. And it's like, how did you know he was in the truck? The truck is completely sealed up. You didn't know where he was before.
Like instantly, and it tore a hole in the truck, but it wasn't even facing him.
And he was kind of a distance away from that too. So it's like, how did you know he was in the truck if you didn't know where he was before? Do you have X-ray vision?
Then 2 minutes later, the son automatically knew he was on the catwalk when it got hit.
Yeah, that too.
Also, gas masks do not stop you from hearing sound. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah, but that was probably just for like the intensify the moment and crap like that.
Practical.
Yeah. golly, when we actually sit down and do this review, it's actually kind of fast-paced to try to not skip over, trying to remember what else we could go over between there and some of the other stuff. But.
Train.
Oh, the train. Go ahead, you talk about train.
The train, I thought they were going to go one direction with the train, but they didn't. Because when the one Oriental kid gets separated from his parents, I thought that maybe they was going to be doing kind of homage to the original Godzilla. How originally who was it that adopted? It wasn't Sarazal, was it?
No, it was what was his name?
But you know who we're talking about.
Yeah, the scientist in the 1954 who adopted the one kid who later came back and Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Well, he didn't come back in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, but his son was in Godzilla vs. Destroyer and said how his father was adopted by... Was it Dr. Yamane? Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Yamane. Yeah, okay. Dr. Yamane.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do something like that, because, like, the kid gets separated from his parents, and then you have the main character there taking care of him, and I thought they were going to pull, like, his parents are going to die, and even though he already has a son, I just assumed maybe they was going to do the whole adoption thing. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that, but I thought they might. Not sure if I would have liked it if they did or didn't.
Another thing that was funny, too, is for a good majority of when the army was fighting both Godzillas and the Mutos, at first, I just loved it how they were just plainly using hand machine guns at first. Like, not even anything big artillery. I just thought that was funny as crap. It's like, really? Something that big, you really expect to take it down with machine guns?
Assault rifles and stuff.
I mean, that was kind of funny. Jeez, what else? There was that, the little kid.
I mean, also, they already knew that the Muto created EMP Waves, and yet they kept going at it with stuff that used, electronics.
That was the other thing that I just had a brain fart on. I was like, what else were we going to talk about? Then it's like, when and there was even one point where, like, the Muto did the EMP wave thing, and one of the army guys was like, what the hell was that? You don't know this by now? It's been how many days?
I mean, you already took over the project or whatever, the operation.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess we could talk about the way they kind of teased us with the fight scenes at first. The first one was, it's okay to let it go just because they ended up doing it like a comedic thing. It was like comical. Because, like, Godzilla was fighting the male Muto at first, and then it cuts back to Ford's wife and his son in San Francisco, and his son's watching TV, and his mom's telling him to turn the TV off when it shows Godzilla fighting this Muto. So it was kind of a comedic thing there.
They just cut back and forth between
but still,
the
I was like,
kid.
oh, they did that? Come on. I wanted to see that fight, even though it didn't look like it lasted very long. And then towards the end, when they started to open up with the fight, and then just like kind of like close those doors, and then it was like, really, damn it, come on, we want to see a fight already.
Jumping ahead again.
Yeah, I know. Where do you want to go now?
Okay. The second Muto, when they introduced that one, why? Like, they acted like they didn't know about it, but yet the Americans already had the second one's, like, cocoon or embryo or whatever. And you just stick it where you place military explosives.
Yeah, nuclear waste weapons and all that stuff.
I
wouldn't really be the smartest idea.
I mean, did they knew that they absorbed radiation and maybe they were just trying to, like, diffuse everything? Because that's what they were kind of, like, saying with the other one at the nuclear reactor. Was like, they didn't kill it first because it was absorbing all the radiation.
Yeah.
And they were afraid if they killed it, it would release it into the city and kill everyone else. But that's also one thing I noticed. Radiation didn't seem to be a big deal, though, like, as far as people getting near the creatures.
Yeah, I noticed that, too. Especially when... Yeah, that's true, actually. Because they always did that in the old Godzilla films. The monsters were always radioactive. And even in their footprints, they left radiation, but... Obviously, they decided to change that.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Me and Scott we're kind of on the fence 50-50 about the change of Godzilla's origin a little bit. I mean, we understand that everything needs to change every now and then, but, I mean, after 28 films and his origin pretty much practically being the same after all these years, and then really, even in the 98 Godzilla, his origin pretty much remained the same.
Yeah.
But then now they changed it to where Godzilla was this... He was already a living creature. And same thing with the Mutos. They were already living creatures that existed on the planet when Earth's surface was highly radioactive and everything like that. So it's not too big of a problem with us. We're just kind of 50-50 on it.
It just doesn't click as much as we wish it would.
Yeah, I mean, we're hardcore Godzilla fans. Changing the origin, I'm sure other people can understand where we're coming from with that, but it's okay.
Again with the mountain though, really didn't notice a giant hole in the side of a nuclear bunker.
Yeah, that too, especially if you would imagine there'd be people there at the bunker.
Especially, they sent people in, and then when they opened the door, it was just barely like a few feet away. It's like, I think you would have heard that if it just barely left.
Yeah, that too. Mm-hmm. Even though those nuclear doors or whatever were like blast doors and crap, but whatever.
You see the size of that hole.
Well, and you'd feel the tremors and shit.
And considering that the E radiation, it sure did leave a lot of bombs unaided.
Yeah, it did. Considering that's where they dumped all their nuclear waste, you think it would have cleaned that whole place out, but I guess that would have killed them. Opening the little sliding thing and looking in and seeing that everything's fine, so, but whatever. Skipping back a little ways, there was a Mothra Easter egg, so that was interesting. It would have been cool to see a few more Easter eggs, but the one that pointed out the most was Mothra.
Yeah, there might have been more. If you did notice more, maybe comment.
Yeah, if you did notice more, like little Easter eggs of other Toho Kaiju, put in the comments, but we just really noticed the Mothra one. And then kind of at the end, well...
We're not sure. You know where the Chinese dragon head's getting engulfed by the gasoline? We're not sure if that's supposed to symbolize something.
Yeah.
Like someone else we saw with Lawrence, he thought maybe it was Manda. And I kind of thought that too. But it's like, I can't tell if it is or if it was just a coincidence.
Yeah, that too. Because they kind of did like zoom in on it too, like really closely. It might have just been... for the show of the movie or something like that. But
yeah,
who
dramatic
knows?
Effect.
Yeah, dramatic effect. But, yeah, so if you guys noticed any other Easter eggs in the film, point them out. But we only really saw the Mothra one that's legitimate. Golly.
Just trying to figure out what we want to talk about next. I guess hopping back again, one thing that did it bothered both of us, but bothered Everett more than me. The foot scene.
Oh well, yeah, we'll get to that when we talk about our own opinions, like on Godzilla and the Mutos and what we think and stuff like that. We'll cover that. I guess we could just go straight on to the final fight. I really can't think of anything else that's in between that we could really talk about. I mean, we're not going scene by scene and dialogue by dialogue with this movie.
The one main character, Ford. You think it would have been? I don't know. Two things about the train scene that kind of bugged me. Is if you see a bunch of heavy firing and you know the Mutos in the area, obviously the bridges are going to be safe. You see the size of that thing, it'd catch up to you if you could see it, you know it's within catching up to you distance.
Yeah, that was weird too. They're like on the other side of the tunnel where the train's supposed to go through, and it's like they hear all the bombs and firing, and they even see it, and it's like, well...
Obviously it's not clear.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's not clear, even though they're on the radio. Is it clear? Is it clear? Well, obviously not.
I mean, you do hear the other people screaming on the other end.
Yeah. And then that, too, it's like, why wouldn't you just... I mean, granted, you do have to get the bombs there, but if it's that close, why wouldn't you kind of at least maybe just hold off and just wait?
I don't even know if there was anything they could have done.
Yeah. Because I mean, if the Mutos can sense like the radiation and the bombs and stuff like that, you think it would have got to the train eventually if it was that close too.
Also, I think he's a bad soldier because during the one scene where they show it was pregnant and had a bunch of eggs, he didn't bother telling anyone.
That's true. Yeah, he didn't like say the one's pregnant already.
And you can't say that they did because later, Sarazal says, "Well, maybe it's creating a nest. Maybe it's already spawning others."
Yeah.
So, like, clearly they didn't know it had offspring, which, that itself kind of bothers me. It's like, I didn't think the male and the female had paired up at that point yet.
Yeah, no. There is one thing, though, that I pointed out, though, when we were leaving the movie theater. This movie seems very similar to another kaiju film, Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. You know, you had the Gauss birds coming back. They had, they were starting to reproduce, make more, and it kind of had the same feeling as Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, which was kind of neat. And so that was nice, and that gave the movie brownie points for me. So I did enjoy kind of comparing it to Gamera, Guardian of the Universe.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't much more to talk about.
Not really.
In between to the final fight.
To the final fight,
everything else would be kind of nitpicking, which I know some people get annoyed at.
Yeah, and we kind of just want to talk about the movie a little bit. We don't want to nitpick too much. We're just pointing out some stuff. So, into the final fight now, I guess. It was worth the wait. Of course, they made it spectacle. They made it a spectacle. It was a good ending fight scene. Godzilla did use his atomic breath. He did not use it very much, but he did use it enough. And of course, there is the one thing that's on the back of the box of the one figure that says that his atomic breath is more like a last resort thing because it actually does harm to him. Which, when we did look at it, when he was firing it, it didn't seem to hurt him in any way. But then, of course, he did seem kind of drained, and he kept like falling down and weak and crap. So,
yeah, but we didn't know if that was because of that or if because he was stabbed.
Yeah, stabbed repeatedly because the Mutos were, excuse my language, but the Mutos were fucking Godzilla up. They were just impaling him. It was violent.
Especially the scene where they have them both pinned down and they're just going to town.
Yeah, they're just freaking. They have them on the ground and they're just freaking clawing and stabbing away. It's Jesus. You do feel bad for Godzilla in that scene.
Speaking of Godzilla, because there's not enough of talking about him in this so far.
That's what we want. That's our main. That's probably the biggest thing we want to go over, and it's true.
It is, because we intended this to be a Godzilla 2014, and so far we've only talked about the Mutos mostly.
Yeah.
That's, I understand they wanted to introduce a new monster, but it felt like the movie was more about them than it was about him. He was more like he wasn't even the second character, he was more like the third or fourth after the humans
and all that stuff, yeah. And even when you do count it in, I mean, the movie's title is Godzilla, so I mean, you do expect a good majority of it to be about him. But, when you do come down to it, they do focus more on the Muto monsters, and then of course there's the human drama, but even those two combined, those overpower the whole movie. The Mutos and the human drama. Those overpower, Godzilla's presence in the whole film.
Yeah, even the people in the movie didn't even seem like they acknowledged him.
Yeah, they acknowledged him in some
but they
points.
didn't really oh, there's another one, we have to kill it. Sometimes they're well, we're going to kill the Mutos, but Godzilla's going to be there too.
Yeah,
they seem more
really
focused on the Mutos.
Yeah, on the Mutos than they did Godzilla. They didn't really treat Godzilla as a threat all that much.
Oh.
He was just kind of there, and Dr. Sarazal was kind of backing Godzilla up, saying, don't do this to Godzilla, he can beat them, he will restore balance and all this stuff by killing the Mutos. So, I mean, Godzilla was the good guy in the film, but at the same time, it's the beginning, the opening credits kind of mention, they don't mention Godzilla, but, the opening credits are about Godzilla, and then you kind of go on, and then it is about the Mutos. And then you really don't hear too much about Godzilla until Sarazal shows Ford that slideshow, and they're talking about back in 1954 the submarine awoken something, and then the nuclear bomb tests weren't tests, they were trying to kill it.
Yeah.
And then you see Godzilla in a few scenes, but I mean the scenes are really short. Godzilla does not have that much on-screen time.
And just him swimming.
And him swimming too. Godzilla doesn't have that much on-screen time, which that's what a lot of people have said. It really doesn't hinder the movie in any way. But when you do come down to it, this movie was more about the Mutos and all that stuff than it was about Godzilla himself.
Yeah.
When you really do look at it, and I don't want to hear any bitching or anything in the comments about it, the movie is what it is. We're being very professional about this review.
I mean, it's being honest. It's not complaining.
It's being honest. It's not complaining. I mean, Godzilla really did play a small part in this movie. When you really come down to the bare minimum line.
We didn't even, like, it was like an hour or 45 minutes in before you even saw him.
Yeah, it was quite a while before you actually saw Godzilla.
And that was only for like maybe half a minute span time.
Yeah, so I mean, not that much on-screen time, and it really didn't focus on Godzilla in any way, like a whole hell of a lot. It really was about the Mutos, and you can't really say it was about the human drama, but even that played a bigger part than Godzilla.
The only part of the movie that did focus about him was Sarazal, because Sarazal that's all he ever talked about was Godzilla.
Yeah, it was Godzilla. So, I mean, and again, the ending fight was good. The ending kill made the whole movie for us. That was awesome. When Godzilla just came up behind the Muto, bit it on the shoulder, and then, like, opened up its mouth, and was like, I really wasn't expecting him to blow his fire down the Muto's throat. I was expecting him to kind of do the King Kong,
just rip
it in half. But yeah, he did. He opened it up, and he literally just went, you know what? Oh!
Yeah, when he did that, I knew he was going to do that, but I didn't know it was going to go to that extent. I thought maybe it was going to just, like, amber up a little bit and just, like, fall. But that thing melted.
Yeah, he was literally holding its head after he was done and then dropped it. But it was a good scene.
Yeah, the last fight, even though, like we said, Godzilla didn't have him at the same time, the last fight for us did kind of make up for it, mostly because that was pretty impressive, because I wasn't so sure when they first announced that he wasn't going to be using his atomic breath that much because it hurt him.
Yeah. I
was like, how is he going to fight? And they actually handled the kaiju on kaiju combat pretty well. It looked really good.
Yeah, it did. It looked really good. I remember someone asked me after I put up the statuses, like, if the fight scenes were better than the Pacific Rim fight scenes. I really have to say not really. I mean, once you see the movie, you'll know what you'll know what I mean.
I would really say you couldn't compare them, though.
You really couldn't, really.
Because, I mean, Pacific Rim was... That one, it was like a one-on-one, or sometimes a two-on-one fight. Those were very direct. Well, this one, it was more or less of the Godzilla chasing them across, and then finally getting at them when they established a nest.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you really couldn't compare the fights, but that was just something someone asked me, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, once you see the movie, you'll kind of be able to compare it for yourself, but whatever, that's a different story.
Nitpicking and opinions on Godzilla himself, then?
Yeah, we can go into that. Do you want me to start first?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Now, I do remember stating in my older videos that, the Godzilla design, maybe it'll grow on me. I really wasn't a fan of it when I first saw it. But seeing it in the movie and seeing the CGI design in action, it does have my approval. I do like the design. He's not too fat. He's the perfect size. Everything about him is okay. The only things that I don't like about him still, and I don't want to hear anything about foot fetishes or tail fetishes, anything like that. Okay, this is my opinion. I do not like his feet still. I am sorry. Some people say that his feet look powerful, and it makes him look more powerful. I don't like his feet. They look like elephant nub feet. I'm sorry. I just don't like his feet. His feet are more or less supposed to be reptilian-like, not really a round, small toe thing, majiggy.
I mean, even if you take it from like a scientific point of view, it doesn't make sense for him to have stuff. You think he had more like this because they're more spread out, so he gets more ground, so he can hold himself up.
But someone did point out that he has those feet to support like his mass and his weight.
Well, I'm saying, but the same thing with these, and give him more leniency.
Yeah,
but this one, he's kind of like just.
So
limits his mobility.
That's probably my biggest thing about the design. I just don't like the feet. So I don't want to hear any crap. Okay, if I don't like the feet, I don't like the feet. But the feet weren't in the movie all that much, so guess what? It's okay.
Except for that one.
Except for the one scene, but that's
I feel that was complete fan service.
Yeah, but that's just one scene. Next on, Godzilla's tail is okay. It's just the ending. I don't like the way it really thins out. I just don't know. It reminds me of the 91, the 98 Godzilla, just a little too much. Just the way it thins out. I just don't like the way it thins out. I wish it kind of would have. I wish it kind of would have been, like a tail like this. Yeah, sure, it's thick here at the base, but then it thins out, but it doesn't thin out too much. It kind of was thinned out just a little too much at the tip. The spines did grow on me. I'm okay with the Godzilla 2014 spines. Those are a-okay.
My turn?
Yeah, go ahead. I think that's all I can think about for Godzilla at the moment.
Okay. With his design, it grew on me, not as much as ever. Like, I like it a bit more, but it did grow on me, but not as much as I would have hoped it did. I would have hoped seeing the movie would make it grow, but I'm still kind of like, But there's a few things I noticed about him. He was very graceful in this film for being Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, he was able to avoid the military and the buildings and everything pretty easily. It's like, I don't know, it just seemed a little off, like, with how big he was. And considering he's a monster, and I don't think he'd care.
Yeah, they kind of did treat him as too much of a goody-goody monster for what he was. I mean, yeah, sure, he turned out to be the good guy in the end. But at first, I mean, you expect Godzilla to be this force of nature and not really care, but he does. He maneuvers way too well without causing very little destruction.
At least mostly for the main characters. In some scenes, he, dips under their ship, but then the other ships, he just, I don't care anymore.
Well, even when he came out of the water
yeah,
there,
he didn't even, capsize or really destroy anything.
The ships kind of just floated off. I mean, really, the military firing and crap caused more damage than Godzilla ever did.
And I know I'm going to get hate for this, but sometimes, for some scenes, the facial animations, they reminded me of the new King Kong movie.
Yeah, especially when they did it straight on with Godzilla. Like, sometimes when he snarled or moved his nostrils, it did kind of remind you of King Kong, just a tad.
I know he needs expression. Even this guy had expressions and stuff, but
yeah,
it just reminded me too much, just with how, fat and round his face was. It just...
Yeah.
It was a little offsetting, especially how short his jaw is.
Yeah, I mean, his jaw was a little short, and that was another thing that I forgot to point out. Godzilla looked good from every aspect angle, but when they kind of took him on from very front view,
shoulders
to shoulders up and stuff like that, it looked weird. I mean, it didn't look right. It looked a little strange, but I mean, there wasn't too many points of the view where the camera was at that angle. Another thing that I will say, and I know some people are probably going to bitch at me for this regardless, probably the same thing with the feet too, I know I'm probably going to get bitched at for that, but you know what, I don't care, this is my opinion. Godzilla's roar, I guess for the film it kind of works and everything like that, but it didn't grow on me that much. I'm still on edge about the roar. It still sounds like a cat throwing up a hairball.
I mean, the roar was okay. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
But I didn't absolutely hate either. But it kind of disappointed me that they didn't stick to their guns with the... before, it, did the high-pitched scream and then the really low, just, I don't know how to... The bellowing.
Yeah.
And they never did... They did it once and never
Yeah,
again.
they really did it. Yeah,
I'm kind of if you're going to make this new roar, at least stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Also, one thing about how big he was and how he moved, I will say, even though he moved a bit too gracefully for my preference... It did look good, with the animations, with his size and the way he moved, it really did seem organic looking, it did seem pretty realistic.
Yeah, it did.
Especially in the end when he was, going back into the ocean, you could see he just, leered him, he just, threw himself in.
Yeah.
With his body weight.
So, I mean, overall, it was a good movie. It's not perfect. I mean, really no Godzilla movie's perfect, except probably for the very original one.
We did like that one scene with his tail when he first uses his atomic breath. We both thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, the atomic breath and all that stuff was great. The atomic breath was kind of more blue fire than it was a beam, but that's okay. When he was charging it up, though, that was another thing. Golly, I'm missing.
Well, that's what I'm reminding you.
Missing all this crap. When he was charging up his atomic breath, I don't know about that sound. It sounds more like a mechanical thing charging up, not really an organic, like it sounded in the in the Japanese films. It sounded more like a generator or something, just it didn't sound like anything that would be Godzilla. It sounded like something robotic or mechanical.
Looks cool though.
It did look cool. And so, I mean, the atomic breath was more fire than it was a beam, but that's fine. And really, that's...
We still got one. We still got some things with the Mutos, and some of the scenes that kind of... Like, after Ford destroyed, like, the A cluster, and he backed up in that one piece of glass, shattered, and it looked right at him.
Oh, God, yeah, no.
It's
yeah,
like...
That's right.
Something that big, I don't think it would be able to hear him, especially how minuscule he is.
Yeah.
Like, one could say it was like a mother just, like, really distressed about how her things got killed. But really, considering how big the Muto, that female Muto was, compared to him, I don't think it would have heard that.
Yeah. And another thing about that scene, too, after he killed the nest and everything, and the female Muto realized it, you know, she went over there and she was looking, and of course she was like, oh no, my babies and all this crap. And then when the piece of glass, whatever, broke and everything, and then it looked over at him, Gareth Edwards, you scared the crap out of me. I was like, you're not going to do what the 98 film did. But that was a 98 film, like, kind of repeat / scare almost. Because it, like, looked at him, and it was like, you did this, didn't you? And I was like, you're not going to make it chase him, are you? You're really not going to make this thing chase him like Godzilla chased all of them in the taxi cab in 98. Because that did. You have to admit, that scene, or that little part was just really similar.
Yeah.
To where she was like, you killed my babies, I'm going to freaking kill you.
By the way, I still feel like in the end everyone should have died. Because even though they got the boat off to sea, I think they should have still been within the radiation radius.
Yeah, that didn't look like it was that far out to sea, or the fallout wouldn't affect them.
Yeah, the radiation and just like the shockwave.
Yeah, that too. Especially if they said that this bomb would make the one that they used on Godzilla back in 1954 look like a firecracker. Yeah.
And concerning the beginning scene, they made that thing look like the beach far away just got messed up.
Yeah.
This one's... I don't know if you feel this way, but Sarazal's character kind of bothered me. Well, I don't know, mostly because he was Dr. Sarazal, but he didn't seem like he did much, like, or had much of a purpose throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
He didn't really help, and he didn't do much more than just obsess and kind of look off into the distance, like, always like he was about to just burst into tears.
Yeah, he always had the same facial expression like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix.
It's like when he was like, kill it, I'm like, why are you so sad?
Yeah, like, I mean, no matter if he was talking or whatever, he kind of did keep the same facial expression throughout the whole movie. And, I mean, if you are going to dub this guy the name Sarazal, owning homage to the original Godzilla, I mean, at least have him play a decent part. I mean, I thought he was going to have at least more to do with the film than what he did.
Yeah, like in the trailers, they made him seem like he'd have a very important part, but to me, it didn't seem like he was there. No one really listened to his advice. He didn't really give any either.
Yeah. His most important part in the whole movie was really just when he was showing Ford the slideshow and everything like that, and talking about Godzilla back in 1954 and everything. That was really his most, like, hardcore part in the whole film.
Or as he liked to call it, the Alpha Predator.
Yeah, the Alpha Predator, yeah.
Which was weird.
Yeah,
I didn't like them calling him that.
Which was weird. And then, of course, the very ending of the film, when everyone was, like, cheering about Godzilla and everything like that, that was kind of... It was cool, but at the same time, it was like,
I didn't like it, personally, because, I mean, most of those people should have been in shelters.
Yeah.
So they really wouldn't have seen the fight where Godzilla defeated the two monsters and basically saved the city.
Yeah.
And if I was a person that just had to go through all that and I saw another giant monster get up, I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be happy whether it'd be going back into the ocean or not.
And again, the military didn't seem to care.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, they didn't really treat Godzilla as a threat in this film. It was really just about the Mutos. I mean, Godzilla really was a minor character in this film when you come down to the bare wire.
Yeah, it's like, in the beginning, they're like, we tried to kill him. It's like, did you give up?
Yeah, did you just give up and say, you know what?
Or did he do something, like, did he, like, bake you a cake and, like, oh, he's really a nice guy? Don't. I mean, we did shoot at him at the bridge.
Yeah, but that was, like, the only really scene where they fired at him, besides when they fired at him with the machine guns in Hawaii. But, other than that, that's our review of Godzilla 2014 in a nutshell, pretty much.
Yeah, I can't
really think of anything else.
Other stuff that's super nitpicky.
Gareth Edwards. hopefully he doesn't watch this. Damn you for not giving us an end credits scene, or a scene after the credits. I mean, come on. And now, if there's going to be something on the DVD or Blu-ray release, that's, I mean, okay, but still, it's like, we wanted to see something in the theater, that would have been nice. But still, damn you for not giving us an end credit scene.
Yeah.
But, because we stayed there for, like, the entire credits until it was all over, just in case. But, nothing. But, oh well, you can't, you know, whatever. And hopefully Godzilla does well. And this movie was good. We did enjoy it. I will be buying it when it comes out. And
yeah, maybe possibly another one.
Yeah,
with new monsters, or maybe some Toho.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll get licensed to another Toho monster for a next film.
Another Batra movie.
Yeah, Batra would be a cool one. Yeah, please. Batra would be cool. But yeah, no, it was a great movie. We liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, same here.
I'm glad. We're glad. It was good. Like we said, we just didn't.
We just kept an open mind about it. Was all we did. We weren't hating on it in any way from our previous videos. We were just keeping an open mind.
Our only dislike was all the people that were just being really ridiculous over it, and we ended up liking it.
Yes, yeah. So it was a good movie. We enjoyed it. What would you rate it?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. That's what I would rate it to. 8 out of 10. And if you're wondering, I mean, some people are going to be like, you guys are Godzilla fans, you should rate it like 10 out of 10 or whatever. We're being professional about this. We're rating it 8 out of 10, and that's a good rating. It's a good professional rating, and it's just because Godzilla didn't have too much screen time, and it really wasn't about him all that hell much.
Yeah, I went over the pros and cons. Originally, I was going to give it 6 out of 10, but then I wrote, because of the cons, but then I put in the pros, like animations, and just everything else, and it brings it up enough to 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, so, good movie, 8 out of 10 for us. Garth Edwards, we hope you make a sequel, and we hope we see another one. Hopefully Godzilla will have more screen time in it. Hopefully it will be a little more
be
about
9 out of
him.
10 if he had more screen time.
Yeah, be 9 out of 10 if you had more screen time, and if it focuses